and to her heart. And though these did less honor to the baby's head, which they were the occasional means of bringing into contact with deal doors, dressers, stair rails, bedposts, and other foreign substances, still they were the honest results of Tilly Slowboy's constant astonishment at finding herself so kindly treated, and installed in such a comfortable home. For the maternal and paternal Slowboy were alike unknown to fame, and Tilly had been bred by public charity, a foundling, which word, though only differing from fondling by one vowel's length, is very different in meaning, and expresses quite another thing. To have seen little Mrs. Peerybingle come back with her husband, tugging at the clothes basket, and making the most strenuous exertions to do nothing at all, for he carried it, would have amused you almost as much as it amused him. It may have entertained the cricket, too, for anything I know, but certainly it now began to chirp again vehemently. "Hey day," said John, in his slow way. "It's merrier than ever tonight, I think."
"And it's sure to bring us good fortune, John. It always has done so. To have a cricket on the hearth is the luckiest thing in all the world."
John looked at her as if he had very nearly got the thought into his head that she was his cricket in chief, and he quite agreed with her, but it was probably one of his narrow escapes, for he said nothing.
"The first time I heard its cheerful little note, John, was on that night when you brought me home, when you brought me to my new home here, its little mistress, nearly a year ago. You recollect, John?"
Oh, yes. John remembered. I should think so.
"Its chirp was such a welcome to me. It seemed so full of promise and encouragement. It seemed to say you would be kind and gentle with me, and would not expect, I had a fear of that, John, then, to find an old head on the shoulders of your foolish little wife."
John thoughtfully patted one of the shoulders, and then the head, as though he would have said, "No, no." He had had no such expectation. He had been quite content to take them as they were, and really he had reason. They were very comely.
"It spoke the truth, John, when it seemed to say so, for you have ever been, I am sure, the best, the most considerate, the most affectionate of husbands to me. This has been a happy home, John, and I love the cricket for its sake."
"Why, so do I, then," said the carrier. "So do I, Dot."
"I love it for the many times I have heard it, and the many thoughts its harmless music has given me. Sometimes in the twilight, when I have felt a little solitary and downhearted, John, before baby was here to keep me company and make the house gay, when I have thought how lonely you would be if I should die, how lonely I should be if I could know that you had lost me, dear, its chirp, chirp, chirp upon the hearth has seemed to tell me of another little voice, so sweet, so very dear to me, before whose coming sound my trouble vanished like a dream. And when I used to fear, I did fear once, John, I was very young, you know, that ours might prove to be an ill-assorted marriage, I being such a child, and you more like my guardian than my husband, and that you might not, however hard you tried, be able to learn to love me as you hoped and prayed you might, its chirp, chirp, chirp has cheered me up again, and filled me with new trust and confidence. I was thinking of these things tonight, dear, when I sat expecting you, and I love the cricket for their sake."
"And so do I," repeated John. "But, Dot, I hope and pray that I might learn to love you. How you talk! I had learnt that long before I brought you here to be the cricket's little mistress, Dot." She laid her hand an instant on his arm, and looked up at him with an agitated face, as if she would have told him something. Next moment she was down upon her knees before the basket, speaking in a sprightly voice and busy with the parcels.
"There are not many of them tonight, John, but I saw some goods behind the cart just now, and though they give more trouble, perhaps, still they pay as well, so we have no reason to grumble, have we? Besides, you have been delivering, I dare say, as you came along."
"Oh, yes," John said, "a good many."
"Why, what's this round box? Heart alive, John, it's a wedding cake."
"Leave a woman alone to find out that," said John admiringly. "Now, a man would never have thought of it, whereas it's my belief that if you was to pack a wedding cake up in a tea-chest, or a turn-up bedstead, or a pickled salmon keg, or any unlikely thing, a woman would be sure to find it out directly. Yes, I called for it at the pastry cook's."
"And it weighs I don't know what whole hundredweights," cried Dot, making a great demonstration of trying to lift it. "Who Whose is it, John? Where's it going?
Read the writing on the other side, said John.
Why, John! My goodness, John!
Ah, who'd have thought it? John returned.
You never mean to say,
pursued Dot, sitting on the floor and shaking her head at him,
that it's Gruff and Tackleton the toy maker?
John nodded. Mrs. Peerybingle nodded also, 50 times at least, not in assent, in dumb and pitying amazement, screwing up her lips, the while with all their little force. They were never made for screwing up, I am clear of that, and looking the good carrier through and through in her abstraction. Miss Slowboy, in the meantime, who had a mechanical power of reproducing scraps of current conversation for the delectation of the baby, with all the sense struck out of them and all the nouns changed into the plural number, inquired aloud of that young creature,
Was it Gruff's and Tackleton's the toy makers then?
And
would it call at pastry cooks for wedding cakes?
And
did its mothers know the boxes when its fathers brought them home?
And so on.
And that is really to come about, said Dot. Why, she and I were girls at school together, John.
He might have been thinking of her, or nearly thinking of her, perhaps, as she was in that same school-time. He looked upon her with a thoughtful pleasure, but he made no answer.
And he's as old, as unlike her. Why, how many years older than you is Gruff and Tackleton, John?
How many more cups of tea shall I drink tonight at one sitting than Gruff and Tackleton ever took in 4, I wonder? Replied John good-humouredly, as he drew a chair to the round table and began at the cold ham. As to eating, I eat but little, but that little I enjoy, Dot. Even this, his usual sentiment at meal-times, one of his innocent delusions, for his appetite was always obstinate and flatly contradicted him, awoke no smile in the face of his little wife, who stood among the parcels, pushing the cake-box slowly from her with her foot, and never once looked, though her eyes were cast down too upon the dainty shoe she generally was so mindful of. Absorbed in thought, she stood there, heedless alike of the tea and John, though he called to her and rapped the table with his knife to startle her, until he rose and touched her on the arm. When she looked at him for a moment and hurried to her place behind the tea-board, laughing at her negligence, but not as she had laughed before, the manner and the music were quite changed. End of Chirp the First, Part 1, read by Sage Turtle of QuirkyNomads.com.